Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Liz, and in today's video, I'm sharing with you how to update a small bathroom. Chris and I have been working on my daughter Annabelle's bathroom now for probably about the last month, and it has gone through a huge transformation. This bathroom, since we moved in 4 years ago, we have not done really a thing to it. We decorated it a little bit, but it was pretty much stuck in the same design style when the house was built about 20 years ago. So I started the bathroom makeover by clearing out the space, taking out the shower curtains and the old picture frames. It was kind of bittersweet to take out these little blue frames because these were my very first project that I created when I started my YouTube channel. So I was a little sad to see them leave this room. This was my first project on YouTube.
That was?
It was in my very first video. Next, we removed the mirror and the vanity from this room. Originally, I thought maybe I would use peel and stick tile in this room, but since we were removing the vanity, we couldn't do that because there wasn't tile underneath our vanity. So our next step was to remove all of the tile. Now this was more of a job than my husband thought it would be because they didn't use backer board when they installed it. They installed it right on top of the plywood. So he had to scrape all of the mortar off of the plywood. So it was a big job and this took quite a bit of time. So once we removed everything from the room, I started prepping the walls. So I went through and I scraped off any leftover caulking that was on the wall from the vanity or anything that was messed up in the room. I also went around prepping the walls with some joint compound. Wherever there was any holes, I just added in joint compound. One of the things we are doing in our house are updating the baseboards anytime we update a room. If you watched my daughter Annabelle's makeover, which if you haven't, I'll link it for you down in the description box, we replaced all of the baseboards in her room. So I bought this special tool on Amazon. This really helps with pulling the baseboards off, and I recommend using this if you ever have to do that job. I removed all of the baseboards as well as the door frames. So far in this house, anytime I'm updating a bathroom, I always paint the ceiling because our ceilings typically need painting. I grabbed a can of ceiling paint from Valspar, and that's what I'm going to be using to paint the ceiling. So I'm going to start by just simply brushing the edges of the ceiling. Next, I'll come through and roll it on. Typically, I can get by with doing 2 coats of ceiling paint. So the walls in my daughter's bathroom right now are a gray color, and I wanted to update that to the same white that I painted her room, which is Simply White by Benjamin Moore. I find it helpful to do a primer on the walls. That way you can usually get by with just doing 2 coats of your paint, especially if you're transitioning back to white for your color. So I came in with a bullseye primer and I started the same way that I did the ceiling. I just did the edging with my brush. Then I used a roller to put on the primer. Once the primer had a chance to dry, I came back in and did 2 coats of the Simply White by Benjamin Moore in the same technique, using the brush along the edges, rolling on the paint. It really didn't take me too long to do the paint because this wasn't a very big room. So I'm at the tile shop right now picking out tile for Annabelle's bathroom. So I'm going to show you the ones that I think I'm going to go with. So I picked out these tiles. They're white and they're a hexagon shape. And I'm going to do a black grout with them. So they're going to be about the size of these little displays, but with black grout. So probably, I don't know, this may be like a dark gray. I may end up going dark gray, we'll see. He started by screwing down backer board to the plywood. To lay the tile, my husband measured out a straight line starting at the door, so we had a nice straight line of tiles whenever you walked in, and he did that line from the door to the tub. Next, he put a row of tiles down with the mortar. Next, he added tiles to the tub area, working his way all the way to the door. So I bought white tiles and they were porcelain. I decided as a nice contrast, and since a lot of the things in here were going to be white, I wanted something to pop. So I wanted to add a black grout. Well, black grout is kind of tricky with porcelain tiles. So we had to buy a product called grout barrier that we could put on the tiles before we put the grout down so that the black grout didn't get into the pores of the porcelain tile. My husband was not happy with me putting this black grout down because it took forever to wipe it off the tiles, and this was quite a task for him. In the end, it looks amazing, but it did take him a while to do, and I'm thankful that he did it, but it wasn't his favorite job. Your last step after your grout has set is to add in a grout sealer. We also replaced my daughter's old shower head next. Next, we're going to be adding in the light fixtures. Now, I ordered both of these light fixtures pretty inexpensively off of Amazon. Now, I know you guys are gonna come at me and say one of the light fixtures is a little extra for a bathroom. I know it's big, but I wanted a statement piece in here and I like the way it turned out. So yes, I went over the top. I went a little bigger than typically you would for a bathroom, but I was kind of going for that look since the light fixture was in the middle of her shower. Both of these light fixtures I'm gonna link for you down in the description box if you're interested in them. We did install a dimmer switch whenever we put these lights in and made sure we bought dimmable light bulbs. That way the light was not too overpowering in this room. Next, Chris and I put together the vanity for the bathroom. It's the Southern Enterprises Freena Farmhouse Vanity Sink with marble top. And it's from Ashley Home Store's new bathroom collection. And I want to thank them for sending me this bathroom vanity to use in Annabelle's bathroom. To put the sink top onto the base, we used a product called Loctite, and we just put the glue around the top edge, and then we placed the sink on top of it. And then we just put the vanity into place. Now, once the vanity was set, then we had to come in and add the baseboards. All right, guys, I'm at Home Depot picking up the baseboards that I need. Hopefully they have a few more than this. So I get the 1x6 8-foot common boards. Those are my baseboards. And then to do the trim around all of my doors, I'm gonna do the 1x4 common boards that are 8 feet long. So I can get 2 boards to cover a door. So I have 2 doors in there, so I'll probably get 4 boards just to be safe. Just like with the walls, I like to use a primer on the baseboard. This is going to help with not using as many coats of white paint, plus it's going to cover the knots in the wood. So I'm going to use the same bullseye primer that I used on the walls and just roll it across my baseboards as well as my door casing. Next, I'm going to add 2 coats of Simply White by Benjamin Moore to the baseboards and door casings. I like to paint these beforehand. It just makes it easier. If you have to come back with touch-up, it's so much easier. So I do recommend painting them before they're installed. So for the door casing, you just want to line them up, and then we use our nail gun to nail them in place. Now for the baseboards, we went along and found the studs with a stud finder to make sure when we were nailing them in that we nailed them into the studs. Not all of the boards are perfectly straight, so it helps to nail them into a stud. I have this white joint compound product that I purchased off of Amazon, and I really like it. It's a nice little fill for the holes on your baseboards and door casings. So I'm gonna go through and fill all the holes. Once those dry, you can use the little topper on it to just sand them down. The next step is to add caulking to the top of your baseboards and also the sides of your door casings. This is just going to give it a really finished off look, so you don't want to skip this step. From there, I'm going to go back in and just touch up any paint. So where I had the nail holes, I'll touch that up. And anywhere I missed whenever I was painting the baseboards or something that got messed up whenever we were installing, I'll just go through and then I do a once over on the walls as well, making sure that if there's any area that needs to be touched up, I do it now before I start installing everything. So next I installed a curved shower curtain for my daughter. I love these curved shower curtains because I feel like they really give you more room whenever you're showering. We used to live at a duplex and I had one of these, and it really does open up a shower having one of these and give you more space. I'm going to repurpose my old shower hooks. I took them outside and painted them with 2 coats of a flat black spray paint. Next, I'm going to hang up the shower hooks and then put up my new shower curtain. The shower curtain I picked up at Target, and then the little liner on the back I grabbed from IKEA. And everything I'm going to link down below, guys. For our vanity mirror, we are installing the Shadows LED wall mirror. My husband added an outlet behind the mirror so that we could hook up all the wiring for it. This was also sent to me by Ashley Furniture, and it's really cool. It has 2 different light up settings, and I love that it has that nice light up feature on the side. Next, I wanted to create some different wall art pieces for the bathroom. Because my daughter's room kind of has this deep pink accent color, I wanted to bring that into the bathroom as well. So I actually got this wall art piece from Lone Fox. I will put a link to his channel if you want to see his original video where he created this. So I kind of took what he did and made something similar. So I got a piece of scrap board that I had in my garage. I believe it was 1x2. Next, I stained it with Special Walnut by Mini Wax. I'm going to be using some cream colored cord that I purchased off of Amazon, and I'm going to cut strips that are 5 feet long. On the back of my scrap board, I'm going to measure in each side to about 7.5 inches, and then I'm going to make a mark with the Sharpie. So I'm going to start by hot gluing one piece of cord to one side, and then I'll take that same piece and hot glue the other side to where the piece will start. Now I'm going to repeat those steps with the next piece. So I'll start it where I started the first piece, and then I'll put it under the first piece and hot glue it next to it. And I'm going to repeat those steps until I get to my black line. I also added in some additional glue once I got all the pieces in there on the top to just really hold it securely in place. So I went to Michael's looking for dye, and of course it was all sold out. And I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I had in my stash a tie-dye kit that I had bought several months ago and never used. So I pulled out the pink and I figured, okay, I can make this work. So I was trying to make an ombre effect on this wall hanging. What I did was get a tub of water, and I'm gonna start by just putting in a little bit of dye and mixing it together. I'm gonna dip my piece in about halfway in and let it sit for a few minutes. Now you can pull this up and see, how much it's dyeing, or if it's, just not really adding much color at all. And I let it sit for a few minutes and then I pulled it out. Then I added more dye, mixed it around, and this time I'm just going to put maybe the bottom third in. That way I get that ombre effect of darker color at the bottom. I let this darker color sit for probably 5 minutes before pulling it out. Now you just want to let this dry completely, so just let it dry for 24 hours. I didn't wring it out, I didn't do anything to it because it's going to be on my wall. It doesn't need to be wearable or anything. And then I added some command strips to the back and placed it on my wall. And I think this turned out really cute for the bathroom. So I had an idea for a wall art piece and didn't know how it was all gonna work. And in the end, I love the way it turned out. So here's the steps I went to creating it. So I went to Lowe's and just bought a pre-cut board. I was already there and I saw this rectangular shaped board. I'm like, that's about the size that I need. So I grabbed that board. I also picked up some construction shims from Home Depot. I couldn't find these at Lowe's. I ended up ordering them online at Home Depot and just did like pick up in store. And I ended up using, I think, only 1 or 2 packages for this. It wasn't very many. So I laid out my shims and I started by painting them. So I painted some 2 different shades of pink. I also painted some shims white. And then I stained some with that same special walnut color by Mini Wax. Now with the darker pink color I didn't end up liking it. So I went and grabbed the paint color that I had used on Annabelle's accent wall and I repainted the darker color pink, the new color, or the color from her room. And I don't even know why I didn't do that in the first place because it looks so much better. And then with the other paint color, I wanted it to be a little bit more distressed, so I added some white paint on top of that. So with my board that I purchased, I measured so I could find the center line, and I drew a center line down the center of the board. Next, I lined the shims up so they were crossing over each other, and I picked a point on the line so that I tried to make them go straight up the line. Now, it wasn't perfect, but I got it as accurate as possible so that when they were all on there, it would look good. once I kind of figured out my layout, then I came back in with wood glue and wood glued every single shim to my board. I let that dry completely overnight. Next, we came back in and we needed to cut off the edges. So we drew a line where it needed to be cut, and then we used a saw to cut each side. After using the saw, I needed to sand down the edges because some of them didn't look the best. I grabbed some 1x2 boards that I had around the garage and I stained them and cut them down to size so that I could use them as a frame. To put them onto the sides, I used wood glue and then put the side pieces in place. And then we used some ratchet straps to hold them in place overnight. I did the same thing as well for the outer pieces. So this process did take us several days. You know, we had a lot of drying time that we had to do. And then from there, we hung it up over the toilet, and I think it makes a great statement piece, and I love the way it turned out. Now, if you guys have seen my RV videos, you may have seen me create these hooks that I'm going to use, but I just love them so much. I did pick up some new black hooks off of Amazon. That is the cheapest place to get them. I'm going to link it for you down in the description box if you want to purchase the same hooks that I did. It's way cheaper to buy them there than any store that I have found, but I like to put a little backing piece on them, so I grabbed just a board I had in my garage. It was a 1x4" board, and I'm going to cut them down so I can create a little frame behind them. As you guessed, I'm staining them with the same mini wax stain color that I had. All I'm gonna do is use my drill to screw the hooks on the wall, and I'm gonna put one by the vanity as well as the towel area. Next, I'm gonna add in these Ivy luxury towels that were sent to me. I think they look so good with the vanity. Now it's time to pull the whole room together, and I'm going to be adding in finishing touches around the room. If you guys made it this far, thank you so much for watching this small bathroom makeover. If you're new to my channel, make sure you're subscribed. I post 2 DIYs each week. And if you missed our last one, I'll link it here for you. And I'll talk to you guys in our next one. Bye.